How many of you recognize this? There's music also for you, just to refresh your memories. Famous movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I just picked up the screenshot from that. But we are not seeing here a movie. So we still want to talk about some technology, and that's where I want to talk about the three phases of IoT ecosystem: the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So we all know we develop technology. Technology is always developed for some good. But in my presentation, I'll be explaining few things where you will realize that, yes, there is a good aspect, but there is also a bad aspect, and there is also an ugly aspect. And the reason I'm doing this is you guys are the developers and the testers for all the modern technologies now. And unlike us, you are also the end users of these. So some of you is working with a Tesla car, and some of you is also driving a Tesla car. So you should know exactly what is happening with the technology these days. Before going to these aspects, first, why IoT is crucial. So everything here in red is the growth of IoT devices, I would say, from 2015 till 2025. So you can see from 3.8 billion devices, we are looking at 21.5 billion devices. But all these things in the white is basically your non-IoT devices, your mobiles, your iPads, and other stuff, which has not grown that much. So this is the sheer number of devices which is actually around us and which is growing by day. If we talk about a business point of view, the total business estimated was about 170 billion in 2017. And just in 5 years, it is expected to grow at about 570 billion in 2022, 560 plus. OK, that's fine. So the thing is, if you are working in a company, your managers, your company owners, everyone wants some dollars from these 560 billion, right? So which means your company will be working, if today, yes, or in future, with something related with IoT. Because you cannot miss out on this amount of money and the technology aspects. IoT is in our lives already. Without announcing that it is in your home, it's already on our hands. The smartwatches, everyone? Smartwatch? Yes, everyone, I believe so. And the other thing which is already there is, like it's explaining everywhere, it's the smart cards that we already learned about, right? We know about this. Just to put some names here, so driverless cards, wearables that we know, Amazon Go, smart homes, agriculture, healthcare, and there are hundreds of other domains that I'm not listing here, but IoT is present everywhere. So you cannot just survive without actually working in an IoT product your entire life. Someday you will be touching some IoT product, definitely. IoT is saving lives. This is just one good example that I want to show you. This is basically for diabetes patients. So you all know what diabetes is, and it's quite, it's one of the biggest and most widespread disease across the world, right? But what IoT has done is, it has put certain chips and other stuff which can be put on the stomach, and the person can walk. And then it is constantly monitoring the blood sugar. And if it goes down, it can send sensors, it can send signals to nearby doctors and everything. And some insulin is automatically injected into his body with that patch which is there. So yes, IoT has come up big ways in our daily lives. So this is one just quick example. OK. All the other good that is happening. So I'm not reading all of these, but the thing is, Barcelona, for example, it has adopted a lot of IoT sensors. It has placed a lot of IoT sensors in their streets for smart metering, smart lighting, smart water management. If I go for more cities like Chicago, it's more for like fitness. They have put fitness trackers, and they keep a track on like what is the air quality, what is the temperature sensors, and everything comes back on your mobile, and then you can decide what route should I take, or should I go out for tracking walking or not. Vegas, it always has this huge traffic problem, so they are now trying to solve it using IoT sensors and other. So good is everywhere. You can find billions of articles on IoT on Google which talks about what new developments are coming in, and that is what we are creating. But then there are scenarios where IoT is bad, and this is where I would like to have your attention. This is a research. Of course, not the numbers are research, it's just plain simple numbers. But 52% of this whole world is using IoT devices in some form or the other, maybe like a smartwatch. But then you also become an IoT user. And out of these 52%, 64%, they have faced some performance issue at least once. If not more than that, but at least once they have done that. 62% still believe that with more IoT coming in, their lives are actually becoming more challenging, more complicated. Whereas we are developing technology for saying that, okay, the lives become easier. And 1.5 performance problems are logged basically every day. And when I'm talking about performance, you will get to know like why IoT performance is so crucial. I'll just take two examples. One is medicine. Everything which is written on the left-hand side, the first green bars, these are the people, this is a percentage of the people, they do not want IoT for medicine. Companies are investing billions of dollars in medicinal part, healthcare, but people are not trying to use it. What's the basic reason for that? Because the cost of failure here is basically it can take a life. I don't want to, don't get a medicine on time. I don't want that situation. So I cannot depend on sensors who decide that, okay, Vipin, this is the time for medicine. What would happen if that sensor fails? Ultimately, it's a machine. It's a device. And similarly, the age range, if you see, I can understand this 55% because they are 55 plus age, sorry, because these guys have seen the IoT coming in. But the younger ones, 18 and 34, this is like amongst you all. And we are developing these things. We are working in companies who are basically focusing on making IoT for healthcare, but still, we are ourselves is susceptible. We doesn't want to use these things. So, and you can see all the big countries, the developed nations, it's more than 50% people who don't want this. And the primary reason is we distrust this technology. So we are making it, but we are not trusting this technology. That's the first bad part. Other example I take is self-driving cars. Tesla, we all know. I can only see Tesla in US because I don't know if Tesla can ever make the number of test cases to drive it in India. It's not possible. Anyone can come from any direction. Tesla cannot. Even they put artificial intelligence, whatever pattern matching, your database servers will be completely done. They will be completely full, but there will still be use cases left. So you have to take that experience in driving in India, not Tesla. So, but yes, all these green signals, the green shades, this is the percentage of people who do not want to drive an autonomous car. Only the small white part, so UK, for example, 92% people, they say no to car. Again, the thing is, what they feel is, what would happen if the software fails? There's a crash. What would happen if the car suddenly decides it will not take a U-turn? Whereas there is no road ahead because you have to take a U-turn. It's a crash. So although the crash rate is very less, I think manual drivers still crash more. But why to invest such a huge thing when it's not 100% safe? So this is a thing. And that's like 84% across the world they don't want. That's another example that I distrust this technology. Right? So these are the bad things. Check this. Right? Sorry. Voice. But again, this is from Fast and Furious. You must have seen this movie. And what the lady has said is, hack them all. Couple of clicks. Manhattan. Cars get hacked. Start driving on their own. So, because it is technology, it can be hacked, right? And that's where the risk is. When I talk about smart homes, everyone wants to live in a smart home. You come and by click, everything opens and closes. But then people distrust it. So they say that many homeowners think that the thermostats may fail right? And then you are left outside or inside in such a cold weather. That's 68%. And I can even go for like homeowners, they cannot control their lights. That's still more than 64%. You can basically lose the control of your homes. And the last one is you can be overcharged if smart meters are there. So these are very small things, but this actually leads us to a big thought that then why exactly we are developing this? When you don't rely on these things. So when there are no consumers, then how you are putting so much money into this? Why you are putting so much technology into this? This is a huge technical thing. This is way beyond our coding and other stuff. The root cause is A, peer pressure. So my neighbor has a smart home, and I'm earning more than him. I should have a smart home. It's like a social status, you know. You just bring your friends to your home and just press a button and lights come up, and you just change few more things and lights change into a party lights and dim lights and all that stuff. We are showing it, but we are not using it. Remember that. So, and then as a result, what would happen is when there are consumers just for buying it for some social status or due to some peer pressure, companies are putting more things in the market. And what is actually happening is if you want to replace a device with some other device, the same company can just say that, oh, we don't make this device. You should understand that IoT is basically, it's a connected mesh of hardwares, softwares, firmwares, lots of billions of devices everywhere. So there is not a single company which makes every of these. So which means everything has to be compatible. And this problem actually comes in when you see that, okay, I cannot, if I want to change anything, then it becomes very hard. Very simple example. You have a leakage. So this is a leakage, right? And this is also leakage. The first leakage is basically something like your phone. What would you do? You just restart it. Most of the problems get solved. If not, get a software update on your phone. Again, the problems are solved. So basically, repairing a phone is quite easy, quite cheap. And in the worst case, you can just say that, OK, I'll change the phone. It will not cost you much. But IoT devices are not like phones. They are not in your pocket. It can be on the top of Burj Khalifa. It can be under sea. It can be in desert, anywhere. So the cost of fixing those, cost of finding the issues is huge. That's where IoT devices are. So that's the cost trap. But this is still the bad part. Then what's the ugly aspect? Ugly is a strong word, right? You cannot say something as ugly. So is IoT ugly? No, IoT is not ugly. The impacts that the wrong side of the IoT, which people are using, that can be ugly. And what is this? I think I again need a volume.
Devices are listening to what we're saying.
Until recently, Danielle's home was completely wired up in every room with the Amazon Echo. Her family used the Alexa app to do everything from turn up the heat to turn off the lights. But Danielle told us via Skype that 2 weeks ago, their love for Alexa changed with an alarming phone call.
The person on the other line said, "Unplug your Alexa devices right now."
That person was one of her husband's employees calling from Seattle.
We go around and unplug them all. He proceeded to tell us that he had received audio files, recordings from what was going on in our house.
Danielle says her Amazon device in her Portland home recorded a private conversation and sent that recording to a random contact, which happened to be the employee in Seattle.
At first, my husband was like, "No, you didn't." And he's like, "You sat there talking about hardwood floors." And we're, "Oh gosh, you really did."
Danielle listened to the conversation and she couldn't believe someone 176 miles away heard it too.
I felt invaded, like total privacy invasion. Like immediately I'm like, I'm never plugging that device in again. I can't trust it.
That's one very real-life use case, and there are many on internet. You can find those. But yes, because these devices are surrounding us, we are no more surrounding the devices. So on an average, we used to say that, OK, if there are 2 people living in the house, there are possibly 4 or 5 phones are there. But if you just connect your house everywhere, there are hundreds of devices. This is one very good example where, whatever you are talking and the things are actually getting out. Now believe, if someone hacked these things, then what all can be done? And it can basically cause huge blunders. The previous video from that Fast and Furious thing, it's okay, it's a movie. But still, we know that IoT is all about a technical mesh. And just for this rush of putting your company's name in the product market, right, for the consumers, people are forgetting about, I would say, why you are actually making it. Everyone is just rushing after the money and, okay, my company's name should be there. But ideally, as technical people, and because as the end users also, we are using this, we have to make sure that be it development, be it testing, be it management, be it delivery, whatever, there has to be quality, there has to be security, everything has to be there. Then only we can make this world safe, because there are, of course, lots of good aspects of using IoT as well. These are some examples. I picked it from internet, and these are, again, the real-life articles, real-life things that happened. These days, many patients, they have those IoT devices inside their heart. If someone can hack it and just change the current level, that patient can die with a basically electric shock. So, and these are easy to hack, because if you are not putting security in the device, so there are two different things. The devices need to be secured, and of course, then the software and hardware need to be secured. So it's very complex in terms of security aspects. Otherwise, such situations can happen at your home one day. You want to lower the temperatures, it's freezing. Your thermostat will just reply that I am already under attack, denial of services, so you better freeze. No one can change it. So these are, again, some examples. What would happen if the medical alarms fail? Someone hacks the city grid, electric grid of your entire city and shuts it down. There is no electricity. Internet can be shut down. If internet shut down, then all your Ubers and Bolt and food delivery things and everything, they will just stop, right? Electricity is done, your entire, imagine there are patients in hospitals, there's no electricity. So it's critical. It's very, very critical. Cost of failure of one test case in, let's say, testing Amazon, it might cost some $100,000. But cost of failure of one test case in any IoT-enabled thing, it can lead to loss of lives. And that is why, again, this is an urge to the entire, basically, testing community. We need to find ways to test it. It's not just functional. It's not just security. It's not, we cannot work in silos of testing. Okay, I am a security tester, so I'll just take security part of it. The entire ecosystem, because the development is like an entire ecosystem, so testing has to develop an ecosystem of testing the complete IoT thing. So that's, of course, when you look at all these bad things, and I cannot put more bad things, otherwise it would look like an anti-technical guy. I'm not an anti-technical guy. I love technology. But yes, that was the expression. We can quickly coming to a slide on testing, because it's a testing conference. So we should have that. Largely, IoT, if you, again, search Google, many sites say that IoT started as a 2-layered architecture, and the modern, we are using a 7-layered architecture. But if I just take a summary of everything, IoT has these 4 main layers. So you need to find ways to test application layers, gateway and network layers, service layers, and of course, the things which are the sensors, that layer. So it involves all type of testing. And I have just written what all testing that you need to do. And this is irrespective of the domains, whether it's pharma, whether it's healthcare, whether it's agriculture or wherever, you need to carry out these tests. So for application layer, you need to carry your APIs, functionalities, localizations. For service layer, again, API is there, but interoperability, and you need to do that. Network, yes, connectivity and compatibility. It's completely network-based. So if your network is not smooth, then you will find a lot of problems. And finally, the sensor layer, you need to check the functional and security. So just using these terms looks like, oh, it's testing is very easy. It's not. You need to focus on these 5 areas apart from your functional testing. So functional has to be there, of course, but then performance, security, compliance, interoperability, and the privacy testing that you need to perform. This is just one quick one-line test case, one-line use case, basically, like what to test in performance. For example, what to test in security. So you need to make sure that, of course, no unauthorized access happens. This itself can become a separate lecture, right? How to ensure your devices are secured. You cannot put them in locks or put them in smart something else. But yes, there is a lot of security things happen. There's a lot of connections that are happening, physical connections and connections over wireless. So you need to apply all those security mechanisms there. And then, of course, compatibility. I have already touched base on that, that if you want to remove a device and put another device, the handshaking that happens between that new device and the other devices which come from two different companies, that handshaking has to be smooth. The protocols have to be standardized. If they are not standard protocols, then it always causes a problem. End-to-end, yes, of course, but here the end-to-end is basically the entire network. There is no login to log out. So here it's quite different. And then device interoperability. You are working on Mac machine, and then suddenly you just leave it in between and you go to some other and logged into another machine, the status should remain same. So from Mac to non-Mac machines, it should work fine. Always remember, in the end, the good prevails. That's again the snapshot from the same movie. So there can be bad, there can be ugly, technology, people, everything. But in the end, good prevails. Only thing is, if we aspire to become good in any form. That takes me to the last slide. Me and my wife, we both are authors of this paper, but I'm the speaker, so I got to travel. That's our LinkedIn, Twitter. Anyone wants to follow us, feel free to do that. And I'm done, exactly at 0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So far, we have 4 questions for you, so I'm sure we will have time for all 4. Can IoT ever guarantee 100% security? If not, should that stop the advancement of it? Would you personally use it?
Leave aside IoT, even the other testings that you have already done. Can you guarantee it's 100% bug-free? That's how we keep evolving, right? We keep writing new code. We keep writing new ways of testing. Exactly. Don't consider it as something which we have not done. It's exactly the same thing. Only thing is, earlier we were using like, okay, 1 language, then 2 language. Everything is in Java. If I go before that, websites were made in ASP. So everything was in ASP. And then slowly PHP came in, and then Flex came in. So one single web page is made up of 4 or 5 different technologies. From there to IoT, it is, let's say, 100 different technologies. Make sure that you cannot do each and every kind of testing, but you cannot stop testing just to think that, it cannot be 100% foolproof. So new ways will be identified, and this is up to us to identify new ways, how to. You have to write a lot of automation here. The scope of IoT testing cannot be done manually, that's for sure. So a lot of automation is required. You need to see, and of course, API testing, because everyone is talking here. In IoT network, everyone is talking to each other. So when it talks, it happens through APIs. So you have to be strong in your API testings, of course, do a lot of API automation. But I think that answers the question, right?
Okay. When I put a device on my body to send or share my health information, how sure can I be that my private data is not sold to pharmaceutical companies?
Every company comes with that document that, as a contract. So again, taking a non-IoT example, whatever, still if you fill a form and they always say that we are not using your data anywhere else. And then a few days later, you get a call from some other company saying that, oh, we got your phone number from somewhere else. So basically, someone is using that. So this is more of an ethical thing, I would say. You cannot guarantee. If you are a product company, it's your ethics. You have to make sure the data shouldn't go out, apply all the security things. But if we are end users, I don't know. Someone leaves the company, he takes all the data with him, all the phone numbers, contacts. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that in the future, the non-IoT devices will disappear due to the IoT ones, just like normal light bulb to LED?
We are going towards that. We are slowly moving towards that. But this will happen only with the smaller devices, exactly like this example, bulb. So you can just remove a light bulb and you can just put an IoT-based bulb. This will not affect your life in a huge way, I would say. But if I say that, okay, cars will disappear and Tesla will be at everyone's home, it's not possible. Or the buses will be removed, or, as I said, we distrust this technology still. And it's a large part of the human race still doesn't want everything to be under the control of, let's say, robots or IoT things. We still want to do a lot of manual things in our lives. So I won't say that everything will be removed, everything will be gone. But these small things, bulb doesn't matter. If it fuses, I can always replace it with the previous bulb, right? So few things definitely for your use, and that's less in cost. But if you go higher thing, it will add to cost also. So we'll ultimately stop somewhere.
Okay. Almost all game-changer innovation was very unpopular at first and accepted later on. Why would IoT be different? I think that's a theoretical question, probably. Yeah. So do you think the same, that all of them were unpopular, so it's normal?
I have a different perspective here. So game, it's more, I think, it involves all kind of emotions. Okay, so there is a financial pressure here. That's number one. Not everyone can afford connected homes. And I'm not talking about, let's say, some big nations. There are very less big nations, actually. There are more mid-class and lower-class nations. So it cannot go everywhere. That's number one. Secondly, then there are a lot of personal things, which I, again, going back to that distress thing, there are a lot of personal things that happen. The real use of IoT will come when it affects our lives directly. And of course, medical is one of the biggest example, where everyone will require some medical needs. And if IoT can help it, if IoT can smoothen it, let's say, I don't need to stay at home to make sure that I take medicine or something, especially the elderly people, if they get everything on time, then it's fine. But I cannot guarantee that. Even as a developer or a tester, I cannot guarantee that whatever I have put in market is 100% thing. So that will take a lot of time. I would say there has to be a complete shift of mindset also, where we say that, okay, I won't be using non-IoT devices and I will be totally into IoT devices. So yes, financial, emotional, mindset thing, so many things combined together to actually do this. But as of now, it will remain, I would say, more innovative. New inventions will keep coming in these IoT things. We'll still keep using non-IoT things. You cannot imagine your life without a mobile, which is a non-IoT thing, which is a great thing. But I don't know how mobiles will be replaced somewhere, but that's my perspective.